They will regulate a militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Bearing Arms, Cam and Company. My name is Cam Edwards. It is great to have you with us once again. Now, listen, we're going to get right to it. We've got Phillip Van Cleave, president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League, join us on the program to talk about Governor Ralph Northam's temporary state of emergency that he declared in Richmond, Virginia, ahead of the January 20th Lobby Day activities. That declaration of a state of emergency also includes a ban on lawfully possessed firearms on the Capitol grounds, on Capitol Square, which is where the Lobby Day rally, which is where I'll be speaking, by the way, along with Stephen Williford, Antonia Okafor, Delegate Nick Freitas, Dick Heller, and a number of other speakers. They're all going to be there. Governor Northam says that's got to be a gun-free zone. As it turns out, the governor might not be able to do this. There's a provision in the Virginia state law that allows the governor to only ban firearms during a state of emergency from one specific location, and it doesn't sound like Capitol Square meets that definition. So we spoke with Phillip Van Cleave, president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League, about what the group plans on doing. Are they going to file suit? Are they going to try to block the governor's gun ban? And let's talk some logistics as well, because whether the ban is in place or not, there are going to be tens of thousands of Virginia gun owners in Richmond on Monday, January the 20th, out there peacefully lobbying lawmakers to protect and secure their right to keep and bear arms. Here's what Phillip Van Cleave had to say. Phil, thank you so much, sir, for spending a couple of minutes with us. I know today has got to be absolutely crazy, but what can you tell us right now about what's going to happen on Lobby Day on Monday? We know that Governor Northam declared this temporary state of emergency in the city of Richmond, banning guns from the Capitol Square. When you and I spoke yesterday, you said that the attorneys were taking a look at the language from the governor here in anticipation that there may be a legal challenge. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, the legal challenge, our lawyers are moving forward. Absolutely. The governor, we feel that we're completely correct that he has overstepped his powers. He can declare an emergency, but VCDL back right after Katrina got the law changed to put in something that says during any emergency like that, he cannot affect the right of citizens to keep and bear arms. They can purchase, transport, possess, all of that. He can't do anything because during an emergency is the one time you absolutely want to have a gun.
Well, absolutely.
We don't want to be like Katrina. Look what happened there. We don't want that. So that's law right now. And that basically says he can't ban guns. Now, he could ban other things, but when it comes to firearms, those are protected.
And as it stands, the governor has basically said that this 14-acre green space, right, the lawn of the Capitol and some of the surrounding environs, that's going to be a, quote, emergency shelter, or it's seen as a place of shelter and safety. And that's the language that he's using to try to ban these guns or ban legally owned guns from that space. Will you all be seeking an injunction? And is there time to seek an injunction before Monday's rally and Lobby Day?
Yes, there is time to do it. And yes, we will. And him trying to say that that's a shelter is baloney. The court's not going to buy that. I mean, that's him trying to make that law work, and he's trying to be creative. But that's not going to fly. That's not a shelter. That's a public gathering. That's a rally with speakers and everything. People aren't in there because they've been knocked out of their houses by some hurricane. No, nice try, but I don't think any cigar is going to be coming his way.
All right, so let's go through a couple of scenarios. If the governor's a ban on firearms on the Capitol Square is struck down, then obviously things would proceed as they normally have. Although, as you say, the governor still does have the authority to ban bats and clubs and other things. So there
Sure.
might still be some security procedures in place on the in the Capitol Square. If this stays in effect, if this ban remains on Lobby Day, what is your advice, and how will this work logistically? Because I know that you've been talking with the folks of the Capitol Police as well.
Yes. what will happen is, first of all, 9th Street is right there. That's the street that touches the Capitol Square. 9th Street will be blocked off so people can stand there, and they'll be able to hear the speakers and everything. The way we're setting them up, we did get them to back down and let us have our own PA system. So we're getting a professional, very powerful system in there, so people should be able to hear us. But if you're on that street, you can carry. That street is perfectly fine. It's only if you want to go into the fenced-in area that is the Capitol ground. Then they're going to have 17 magnetometers, so they can get a lot of people in. They're planning on putting 10,000 people in that area.
Okay, so one entrance, but again, multiple magnetometers.
Yes, and 4 exits, but multiple magnetometers. So this is what they do when they have an inauguration, so they can handle large crowds in. So that was the plan, to get 10,000 people in there. And if you want to be close into the stage and close in on that part of it, it would have to be unarmed. If you're a family, and one person's carrying, the other people could go in there, and the person carrying could stay on 9th Street. Or you could disarm. If you're going to lobby, you need to be disarmed. By the way, you can have, both in the building and at this event, a folding metal blade knife that's got a blade length less than 3 inches. So I've got like a 2.9 inch spring-assisted knife that I carry, and I've been through security many times there. That's all fine. So I just wanted to point that out.
Sure. I'm curious, Phil. The governor talked yesterday about credible threats. He didn't talk specifically about what those threats might be. Obviously, you've been paying very close attention to all of the chatter. I know that you and, frankly, everybody involved with the Lobby Day activities wants this to be a peaceful, a passionate opportunity to engage lawmakers, because, again, it's Lobby Day, and VCDL has been very clear about this. This is about lobbying lawmakers to reject Ralph Northam's anti-gun agenda. This is not about even a protest necessarily. This is about lobbying. Have you heard anything that you would consider to be credible threats, and have you been able to find out anything more about what the governor says those threats might be?
No, we haven't. We've had people send us things. We look at it and go, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's credible or not. We just pass it on to the police, and we let them know. They're working security, not us. We make sure they get anything that we see that could in any way, shape, or form be of interest to them, and whether it's credible or not. We're not a police department. We don't know these people. So we pass it on, and credible or not, if there's going to be anything dangerous there, I want to be armed. How simple is that? And by the way, the governor had made a statement that VCDL has kind of whipped up this effort, and you got these people coming from out of state, and and they may not be able to control them. Well, no, excuse me. The governor has whipped up all of this between him and McEachin and the Attorney General, Mark Herring, and Mark Levine, a delegate who said, oh, your guns are nothing compared to the military. All this stuff. It's like they almost want something to happen because they keep poking everybody. They keep raising the tension levels by talking about Army and National Guard and all the gun control they're going to cram down our throats now that they're in power. If they just keep poking the bear, and I don't understand if they want to do this or if they're just that incompetent and stupid, or if it's both. I don't know what it is, but it's driving me crazy. We put the fire out, and then they say something else that gets everybody upset again. Then they do this ban. This wasn't necessary, but here we go. Well,
I think you're right. I mean, I from a security standpoint, I mean, again, basically, you're going to be declaring, one small area to be a gun-free zone, and there are going to be a lot of folks outside of that area who are lawfully and legally carrying firearms. I'm not really sure what exactly this does, other than, as you say, poke the bear, and to. I think, I got to tell you, Phil, I think, honestly, the comparisons that we heard from the governor yesterday talking about Charlottesville. I saw a quote by a spokesperson for the Capitol Police who said, listen, there's no similarities between the two. He said, I don't understand what Charlottesville is all about. It looked to me like there were two sides who just wanted to show up and fight. He said, there are people who are legitimately concerned about very real pieces of legislation who will be here for Lobby Day. So for these folks to, again, try to compare the tens of thousands of Virginians and however many show up from outside of the state to support Virginians in their lobbying efforts, for the governor and for other elected officials, again, to compare these folks that you and I have both talked to at these county supervisors meetings and these city hall meetings over the past couple of months. These are average, everyday Virginians who are concerned about their rights being stripped from them. They're concerned about their children not enjoying the same freedom and liberty that they possess. And they're not violent. There's not been one incident of violence at any of the more than 140 Second Amendment sanctuary meetings that have taken place across this state. So to hear that denigration of folks who are engaged in civic activism, who are exercising their First Amendment rights in defense of the Second Amendment, you're right. It is, to put it mildly, it is not helpful. And I've reached out to the governor on multiple occasions. I've asked him to come on this very program to have a conversation with a gun owner. But instead, so many of these politicians, Phil, they only seem intent on talking down to gun owners. They don't want to talk with us.
No, that's right. And Bloomberg, of course, has bought the Democrat Party. That's kind of what I'm sort of thinking this is what this really is. Because, boy, the green wave that's crossed over this state has got their attention, but they're still being headstrong in some of this stuff. They're backing off on some, but they're also plowing forward. That's Bloomberg's money driving this. We know Virginia didn't vote for gun control. If they did, then why aren't the other side rallying 3,000 people at some little board of supervisors meeting? They're lucky to get 3 or 4 people there, not 3,000 or 4,000. There's no drive for gun control in this state. Overall, nobody's voting for that. But that's what they want to say because Bloomberg wants them to make it about gun control. Yeah. And they are going to be spending all their political capital trying to do this. And if they succeed, we're going to go to court. We're already lined up to do that. This is a war, and it's not going to be over overnight. This is going to go on, and gun owners need to stay engaged. This is what you need to do because there are people that are not going away that are determined to strip you of your rights, and Bloomberg's at the top of that list.
Absolutely. And, you talk about playing the long game, and I think that's absolutely critical for folks to understand as well. There's been so much focus on January 20th that now it's become, I think it's become bigger than itself now. I mean, I was talking to German television today, Phil. They're going to have a crew in Richmond on January the 20th. I'm not sure that they even know where Richmond is, but they're going to be there. But on January 21st, these bills are still going to be there. We are still going to need to talk with our delegates, our state senators. As you say, any bad bills that become bad laws are going to need to be challenged in court. And then once these bills actually get put in place, then we start to see what type of reaction we get from these Second Amendment sanctuaries, where the Commonwealth's attorneys, where the county sheriffs, where the county government says, no, we're not going to enforce these things. We're not going to fund enforcement of these measures. You're right. This is a long fight. And believe it or not, we're actually still in the very early stages of this long fight.
Right, and you're completely right about legislation. Not a single bill has passed out of either house. Now, that may change. That some of the gun control bills, the ones that got into the Senate on Monday, are going to be, most of them are probably going to be voted on today. There were 4 bills. So those might pass the Senate, and then they're on the way to the House. But by the time lobby day's there, we'll be miles away from anything even being signed by the governor. So there's still time to convince people to not vote for the stuff in the other body. And the House hasn't even started with their bills. They don't even have them assigned to a committee yet.
Which is kind of odd, isn't it?
Oh, it's very odd. All of this is odd. The Democrats, it's like they don't know what they're doing. The committee meetings, they're having to redo votes because they did it wrong. If you were there on Monday, you know that the whole thing was confused on that committee meeting. Bills were being heard that weren't even on the agenda. That never happened. That breaks rules. So it's been chaos down there since the Democrats took over. It just simply has. I know how things have been going. I've been doing this for 20 years. It's chaos right now, and for everybody. And so we need to be there and continue to lobby those guys and continue to do what we always do. We're peaceful. Like you said, you go to these rallies, these things that we've been to, all the sanctuary counties, you will meet the nicest people there. I didn't meet a single person on our side that was anything but really nice. Any of them you wouldn't need locks on your doors if the world was populated with everybody like that. The other side wasn't so nice, but our guys are great.
Yeah, well, what is your message for those attending and planning on attending Lobby Day on Monday? What do you want them to know, and what do you want them to what do you want Lobby Day to be for them?
Lobby Day is going to be their chance to have their voices heard. If the General Assembly ignores those voices, then those voices will be there on the election. You know who's going to benefit from this? Trump. Trump is going to benefit big time because the bear is wide awake and not happy, and they're going to be voting. So the Democrats have made a huge blunder here in that, and what they've done. I think that this state is far more red than people realize. It's only but the red has been people sleeping, not bothering to vote, blah, blah, blah. So if you don't do that, you don't count, and the areas become blue that really aren't blue, but the reds they're not doing anything. So they're irrelevant.
And I'm so glad that you talk about that because we have had look, it's been almost 30 years since we've had any major gun control legislation passed in the state of Virginia. I think we have had a lot of complacent gun owners who've just simply thought, come on. They talk about it every 2 years. They say we got to vote or else our rights are in trouble. And I think for some people, they honestly didn't realize and they didn't know what was coming down the road, because I've heard so many folks tell me this over the past couple of months of, my buddies, they didn't get out and vote. Or someone said, well, that guy, he got kind of squishy, so I just stayed home. And now instead of a guy who was with us 80% of the time, we've got a lawmaker who's with us 0% of the time. And I think you're absolutely spot on. I think that the bear is awake. We're not in hibernation anymore. And we've seen some polling showing Donald Trump beating most of the Democrats in the state of Virginia if the election were held today. So I guess one last question for you. After Lobby Day concludes and people go home and they're motivated and they're energized, what do we do to keep up that level of engagement, Phil?
All right, what we do is if you're not on DA Alert, it's a free email system. Get on that. It's on our website, VCDL.org. You see DA Alert. Just put your email in there, and you're on with about almost 40,000 other gun owners at this point. The more, the merrier. And we will tell you. We'll get you. We will tell you, and we'll have things pre-written. You'll just click, and you'll be sending messages off to your senators and delegates on all these different bills. You'll be making phone calls. We make that as easy as possible, too. You can get a script to read, and it dials the number, and, you're set to go. It's that simple. We want their phone lines every single day to be nothing but gun owners and their email boxes overflowing. We want it to where they can't do anything down there but talk to unhappy gun owners. Now, don't be impolite with them, but you can be firm. No more gun control. So that's what we do. We say activate. And just VCDL will help guide you in that. But every day you should, during the week, the business week, Monday through Thursday, pick up the phone and call and maybe pick a different bill. Each day, pick a different bill. We'll give you the list and say, I do not vote for this bill. And just every day, I know it's a lot of work for us, but we want that'll get the message through when they can't do anything on their computers or phones except talk to gun owners. That'll get the message across.
Phillip Van Cleave of the Virginia Citizens Defense League, thank you again for coming on the program today. I will see you probably bright and early Monday morning, Phil. I don't know what time the magnetometers are going to start getting staffed, but but I plan on giving myself plenty of time to get through the crowd and onto the Capitol grounds.
Yeah, I'll be doing interviews all morning from 8 to 10. I'm lining up. I've got one after the other, everything from the Glenn Beck show to NPR to everything. So I'll be doing that, but I'll be out there I'll be at obviously well before the rally starts. I'll be out there if I'll be emceeing it. But I look forward to this. Look forward to hearing you talk, address the crowd. That'll be great. And let's make this a success. Let's do this. Everybody's watching us. The whole country is watching us.
Absolutely. Phil, thank you again, sir, for coming on the program, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Phillip Van Cleave with the Virginia. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. I was going to get one more thing I thought about. WRVA is going to be airing what's going on. They're going to have the mic down there. They're going to have a show on it, and they're going to cover the rally live, basically. And That's our big powerhouse AM station. So and people will be streaming it too. So it's you're in the crowd, you'll also be able to hear it on radio.
That is fantastic. All right, Phil, thank you again for coming on the program, and will you all be sending out an alert once that request for an injunction has been filed? Do you think that will happen today?
Yeah, as soon as we hear something, it's absolutely as soon as we've got something, we will absolutely get that out and let everybody know what's happened.
Okay.
This is all in progress.
Sure.
It could happen any time, but that will be breaking news. It could be tomorrow that the alert goes out. Please watch those alerts because that will tell you the latest. But we will see how it goes because then you get into appeals. But there's still time. Believe it or not, there's still time when it's an action item like this. You do an emergency one. The courts pop you right to the top of the list.
All right. Well, we're keeping our fingers crossed, Phil, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cam.
Phillip Van Cleave with the VCDL joining us here on Bearing Arms Cam and Company. All right, so we will likely not talk to Phil, at least on this program, before Monday Lobby Day. And a program note, by the way, I'm going to do my best to get a show to you on Monday. I'll be at the Capitol all morning long, and then I have to drive from Richmond to Washington, D.C., because I have to catch a flight to go to SHOT Show, and then I'll be out at SHOT Show next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you some shows from SHOT Show as well. But everything is very fluid and up in the air right now. So I want to do my best to make sure that we keep the program updated. We certainly will be keeping you updated at bearingarms.com as well. So if you can't get your daily dose of Bearing Arms Cam and Company, you can certainly get the latest Second Amendment news and information at bearingarms.com. Now, as for Monday, again, I am planning on actually getting there bright and early Monday morning. Yes, I will be going through one of the 17 magnetometers because I'm speaking. So I've had a lot of folks say, well, you're going to carry, right? Well, no, I'm not going to carry because I have to be inside the Capitol grounds. And if there are folks who want to be there, who want to carry and do so lawfully, again, you can, if the governor's ban remains in place, as Phil said, there are going to be plenty of areas where you can stand and you'll be, in lawful possession of your firearm and nothing is going to happen. If, on the other hand, you want to get a little bit closer to the action, you want to shake the hand of an American hero like Stephen Williford from Sutherland Springs, Texas, you want to say hi to Delegate Nick Freitas and a couple of the other, State Senator Amanda Chase is going to be there and some of the other folks, then pass through the magnetometer and show up on the lawn. I would love to see you there. There is a part of me that's thinking, are we all going to be speaking to like this empty green space with like this huge buffer, and then there are going to be tens of thousands of gun owners surrounding? That could happen. I'll deal with it if that's the case. But I'm planning on getting there bright and early Monday morning. I'm planning on staying there as long as I possibly can before I have to take off for Washington, D.C. I do hope I get a chance to see you. I have heard that, and there's stuff that I don't even feel like, there's certainly nothing confirmed. So I'm trying to think of how I want to say this because it drives me nuts when I see media types say we have unconfirmed report. Well, don't tell me unconfirmed reports, you ninny. So I want to make sure I don't fall into that trap. How do I say this? I would not be surprised. Actually, I think I wrote this at the Bearing Arms. I would not be surprised if Democrats find a way to not be there on Monday. And they're supposed to be in session, supposed to be holding votes, but I would not be surprised if they found a way to stay home that day, or at least many of them stay home that day. It is sadly all too apparent that too many of these lawmakers simply don't want to hear what gun owners have to say. They don't want to hear what opponents have to say. They want to stifle debate. They want to shut down debate. That, by the way, I don't believe is an excuse to act inappropriately. I don't believe that's an excuse to threaten anybody or to act like I try to keep this family friendly, so I probably shouldn't say what I want to say. But anyway, you know where I'm going with this. They want you on your worst behavior. And they can get away with being on their worst behavior because the media is never going to call them out. But they want you, and they want gun owners to be on their worst behavior. Don't do it. Don't give them what they want. That's exactly what they want. We talked with Phil about playing the long game. We are in a long game. And not just in the state of Virginia. We are in a long game nationwide. All eyes are on Virginia right now, but come November, we've got a presidential election, and that will go a long way towards determining the future of our right to keep and bear arms. So even beyond Virginia, we have reasons, legitimate reasons that we need to be playing the long game here. Heck, even going back to Virginia, any bad bill that becomes a bad law, any bad bill that's signed by Governor Ralph Northam, likely to go into effect on July the 1st. Okay? And there'll be court challenges, as Phil indicated. I imagine we'll see, what I'm hoping actually to see is some coordinated litigation between Second Amendment groups. I hope we don't see groups working at cross purposes. I'll be doing everything I can to ensure that doesn't happen. But we are going to see litigation challenging virtually every gun control law that is signed by Governor Ralph Northam. But here's the other another interesting wrench that could get thrown into the works. The Supreme Court right now is holding on to a case called New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus New York City. This is a case challenging the New York City gun law. New York City tried to change the law in question in hopes of mooting the case. But the Supreme Court said, well, there's just really not an issue here because they changed the law. That could still happen. But it's been about 6 weeks now since the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in this case. We've seen no sign that they're getting ready to toss this case because of mootness. So I think gun owners have to anticipate, at least as of now, that along or around early to mid-June, we're going to get a decision by the Supreme Court in that New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus New York City case that could set some limits on how far cities can go, and more importantly, give some actual guidance to these lower courts about the standard of review that needs to be used when they are examining the constitutionality of these gun control laws. So that could come down again just a couple of weeks before any new laws go into effect in the state of Virginia. It's going to be kind of chaotic over the next few months. There's going to be a lot going on over the next few months in the state of Virginia. Between now and July, in essence, it's going to be a lot of twists and turns in the road, and a lot of chapters in this story are going to get written. But again, even once July 1st comes around, these any bad laws or any bad bills become bad laws and go into effect, that's not even the end of the story, because we still have litigation, and we still have the presidential election year. And then in 2021, Virginia gun owners have the opportunity to flip the General Assembly, or at least the House of Delegates, and restore some Second Amendment sanity to the state of Virginia. So anybody you hear that says, we're going to kick off the boogaloo next week. No, you're not, and you shouldn't even think about it. That would be the worst thing ever. All right? We're playing the long game, and we're just getting started. That is going to do it for this edition of Bearing Arms Cam and Company. I do appreciate you being a part of the program today. Let's do this tomorrow. We may have a guest. We may actually have a guest from West Virginia. I've been talking with Delegate Gary Howell, who was one of the authors of a resolution inviting Virginia counties to become West Virginia counties. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to talk with them about that. We are certainly going to get to some of your emails, your thoughts, your comments. cam.edwards@bearingarms.com. That is the email address. If you want to send something my way, we'll try to get to it on tomorrow's program. Thanks as always for watching, for listening, for spreading the word. Don't forget, you can subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Town Hall Media on YouTube, and you can also become a VIP member of Bearing Arms, get exclusive commentary, analysis, and more. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow with another Bearing Arms Cam and Company.